to the headquarters of the Evolution Control Committee here in Columbus, Ohio, the test market capital of North America. Since 1966, the Evolution Control Committee has been paving the path to a new world of sound and sonic exploration for enjoyment of young and old alike. Behind these doors, the committee's friendly staff have been fulfilling a commitment to quality, to excellence, to experimentation. It is a commitment which the Evolution Control Committee was originally founded upon. Meet the president of the Evolution Control Committee, George Spanky Esoterica III. Since 1984, George has kept the company on a firm line towards new audio frontiers and has maintained a vigorous program of exciting musical growth. "I want a facelift," George proclaimed in 1990, "a facelift for the committee and for our products. I want to hear the name Evolution Control Committee put in the same league as Disney, McDonald's, and Rubbermaid. When people put a cassette in their CD player and hear strange giraffe grunting noises, I want them to think Evolution Control Committee." The committee produces all its ear-bending noises with a variety of exotic equipment and talented personnel. Sounds can originate from any source. Evolution Control Committee personnel are ever vigilant in their quest to find and record new and fascinating sounds. Sometimes sounds are samples from existing recordings. The committee actively seeks out sounds in all media: CDs, cassettes, record albums, television, you name it. Such found sounds can be used as is, but sometimes it is necessary to manipulate or pre-process them before they are useful to our production team. Frequently, computers are used to effect the changes needed. The computer breaks down a sound and allows it to be manipulated with computer software. Here we can see how easy inversion of the sound's vortex becomes with the aid of a computer. Still, elaborate technology is not always the answer. Sometimes the best way to treat a sound is with an old familiar method. The committee has developed a vast number of devices over the years specifically for the modification of media and the sounds contained on them. After sounds have been prepared and coordinated into a composition, the final product is then tested with selected individuals to assure that the desired response is achieved. Just one more way that the Evolution Control Committee keeps quality assurance at home. One of the major assets of the Evolution Control Committee is their extraordinary media library and cataloging system. The committee's collection of albums, 78s, CDs, cassettes, videotapes, reel-to-reel tapes, samples, and more spans the decades from the current day back to the first recordings ever made. To keep all this straight, media are cataloged by every conceivable method: title, artist, song, year, and most of all a useful subject index which allows one to find a desired sample on something they didn't even know would have it. Such subjects include Hawaiian music, medical recordings, polka, spoken word, stereo test records, expired cultural icons, and many more. The extent of the collection, along with the diligence in organizing it, has allowed the Evolution Control Committee to become one of the leading authorities and providers in samples for today's music. It's an achievement that the committee takes pride in, and rightfully so. The Evolution Control Committee, a driving force in experimental music and sound research for over a quarter of a century. A driving force in production quality, sample use, and trans-agricultural anomalies. A driving force in professional experimental music production. And now, after a long day's work, the last employees are leaving the headquarters of the Evolution Control Committee, and this is where we must end our tour. But from everyone here, from the president to the janitor, thanks for visiting, and happy listening.
rent and blood pressure's rising. Yesterday the check was sent. Learning physics from a book. It's interesting but won't pay rent. My landlord is such a dolt. He thinks his ass is royalty. But he's the one with a cellular phone, and he owns all the property. I live on the 3rd floor. My window's about 25 feet off the ground. My formulas tell me something would take 5/4 of a second to hit the ground. Now I wonder what object one might use in this little gravitational experiment. Why don't you throw your landlord out the window? How long till he hits the ground? Throw your landlord out the window and make sure that he makes a sound like... Must have tripped over the cat. Gravity pulls things towards the earth at 32 feet per second squared. The formula used for free fall is h equals half of gt squared. T represents the time in seconds. H represents the height of fall. But height is 25, we know, so it's T for which we need to solve. Let's multiply both sides by 2, divide by g and take the square root. That leaves us with a formula of the square root of 2h over g equals t. We'll put the numbers in a moment, but it's important right now not to forget the purpose of this problem. To throw your landlord out the window. How long till he hits the ground? Throw your landlord out the window. Make sure that he makes a sound like... Must have tripped over the carpeting. Put in the numbers and h over g becomes 25 over 32. Multiply by 2 and that gives 50 over 32. To get the square root we have to multiply by 2 over 2. This gives us 100 over 64, but doesn't change the value. The square root of that is 10 over 8, and that factors down to 5 over 4. And that's the answer. The number of seconds from the 3rd floor window expressed to the door. And that's the answer. That's how long it would take if you wanted to go into, well... To throw your landlord out the window. How long till he hits the ground? Throw your landlord out the window. Make sure that he makes that sound. And remember to throw him from the north window, because things fall slower near the equator. Throw your landlord out the window. How long till he hits the ground? Throw your landlord out the window. Make sure that he makes a sound.